Welcome to Business Talk. As most entrepreneurs, most businesses in the year of the tiger are looking around at what has been probably the most brutal 24 months that they've ever experienced. And I think if you're in business, you certainly are one of the lucky ones, and you can probably look forward to some better times ahead because you've survived. Well, as small and medium-sized enterprises tackle the pandemic and all of the challenges, FNB's approach to helping them is being recognized on the global stage. The bank was named the best SME bank in South Africa and Africa at the Global Finance SME Bank Awards of 2021. It's also received an honorable mention in the Best Bank for Women Entrepreneurs category at the Global SME Finance Awards of last year. And I'm really pleased to have Gordon Little, Chief Executive at FNB Commercial, on the show. Gordon, welcome, as my dogs walk into the picture as well. It's Zoom for you, it's Teams. That's quite an honor, though, especially at this hour most SMEs need during the pandemic. Just through your client base and the pandemic, we know it's been a difficult time for many businesses in terms of their finances and cash flow. How has FNB adapted to support these businesses through a period that's seen you honored as one of the best global SME financiers?
Michael, it's been interesting. So, a number of our staff are deployed in the branches, and they've been at work throughout the pandemic, making sure that if clients want to walk in and kind of see individuals face to face, we've been there. We've invested a lot of time on our digital platform to try and make sure that those people that were indeed operating from home or from different parts of the country could use our platform to best advantage. And there's a lot of quite cool tools. I think you and I have talked about some of these before, but if you're looking for help establishing a business or your business was struggling through COVID, we've got a lot of material and a lot of collateral on both the website and the app where people can log in and use that. And then I guess more importantly, we've been trying to make sure, how do we make sure we pitch up and we're there for our clients in that moment of need? So, can we make sure we've got the right lending appetite? Can we make sure that we've got the right tool sets to facilitate them? So I think it's been good. We're seeing green shoots in terms of, to your point, clients that have made it through the last 24 months have proven themselves to be resilient. And I guess our job as banks, not just FNB, is to make sure that we're there as they return to growth. And we've got the right amount of kind of credit available and the right transactional solutions there to make sure that we can accompany them on that growth journey. I certainly hope that the 2022 period isn't fraught with kind of all of the waves and ups and downs that we saw towards the latter end of last year.
Last year certainly felt a bit stop-start. It almost felt like as soon as we got out of the starting blocks, there was another hurdle to overcome, as if you're running an 800-meter hurdles race. And to your point, I'm sure many businesses want to see that track flatten out. We've been on level 1 lockdown for several months now. In your experience as FNB, how much has that helped South African businesses to improve their financial situations?
Yes, Michael, we see all the card swipe data, through our acquiring business, and certainly there's buoyancy. We can see that, if you look at the comparable periods, 19, 20, and 21, the 2020 year was, so pullbacks. 2021 saw a return to form, certainly the latter part of the year, where we expected maybe we might have a strict lockdown in December. I think a lot of businesses benefited from actually being open, normal hours, curfew being relaxed. So certainly the stats demonstrate better cash flow. And better, broader, if you look at general financial health of businesses, we monitor that in our base. And certainly there's a tilt towards more businesses being in a better state. And again, testament to, robust entrepreneurial skills in this market. And also the consumer returning, back to those markets that they've played in before. I think a lot of people kept powder dry. And then I think we saw a little bit of that latent buildup of impatience and people wanting to do things for themselves towards the end of the year. I think anyone that traveled in December would have been heartened to see, people on the beaches, people in the streets, and certainly, areas like Cape Town, there was plenty of hustle and bustle and plenty of trade. So I think, we're very heartened by what we see. If you look at bigger businesses as well, some of the turnover results that we're seeing for businesses that have traded in sweet spots, that really, really does, it augurs well. And I do think that our set of businesses, that small and medium enterprise, they've been back at work for a long time and have definitely, in my view, probably stolen the service march on some of their bigger peers.
Yeah, and that's a very good point you raised. Those businesses that have found their way through the pandemic are the ones to back, because they've got the management teams and the wherewithal to handle and survive and make it through crises like that. And it makes, I guess, a credit conversation of those businesses a little bit different for you. But when you look at the award that you've just received, and accolades are always really nice. They're a cherry on the top, but it's about what you do underneath. What do you reckon differentiates FNB's commercial offerings from those of your competitors that see you recognized in this way?
So I guess, I've been in the seat for 2 years, and I guess, when you look at how our staff interact with our clients, some of the programs we run, you mentioned the Women in Business program. I've been very blessed to participate in a number of those conversations and meet the entrepreneurs, have a look at how the business is assisting them. I think also some of the magic comes from the network effects that we create for our clients meeting our clients. And what's really inspiring is how those clients lean in and out to help each other. In spite of the fact that they all bank with us, they form a community, and when advice is required, they lean towards each other, or they read business towards each other, and so forth. And then I guess, when you get this kind of recognition, and it's not just into South Africa, but across the broader continent, it kind of does give you a sense that some of the products that we take into markets, our approach, our service models are really starting to resonate with the clients. So I'm heartened by that. But I do think that if you look at what, you cut to the chase, what makes the difference? It's the people and their dedication to making sure that our clients are getting what they need. And it's not perfect. Let's not pretend that any bank is getting it perfect, but we're really working hard to make sure that we listen to what the client needs and play that back into, how do we improve? What do we do differently? And again, how do we make sure that our client's voice is central to some of our thinking going forward? I think that's really helped us, certainly in the last year. And not every voice is positive, but every voice is certainly valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about listening to that feedback and then innovating, developing products and solutions. And you recently launched 2 new solutions, the FNB Web Store and the FNB Android Speedpoint device. Just explain what these particular solutions are bringing for SMEs and how they're really helping your clients.
So I think that the Android Speedpoint is going to allow us to add value-added services to point of sale. So there's aspirations to make sure we can roll out, prepaid airtime, electricity. In fact, a whole pile of the services that are currently resident on the banking platform, we believe we can abstract to make sure that clients can have line of sight of that. And then the web store was our response to understanding client needs. So, historically we sold people, point of sale devices. In many instances now, they need an e-commerce, like a full store that they can load their goods and services in. And we're helping them, design websites, make sure that we can help them load content. And then obviously, our other link is we want to make sure that all of the payment flows that are coming across those sites, are coming from our clients into our banking rail. So that's where we see advantage. And it's also, there's a nice little opportunity to lean closer to the client's business and offer not just a product, but a solution that by the time they leave that experience, they walk away with a store that's working, it's got product in it, and all they need really is client to arrive, click and pay, and they're off to the races.
That's fantastic. E-tail in a box. And that's the one thing that we discussed in this pandemic. It's accelerated that move online.
And a lot of people are experimenting. And I think, if you can do it at kind of moderate cost and kind of either succeed fast or fail fast, it's a great way of enabling client confidence. So, and I think we're going to see more of that. If you look at where the competition is coming from, we've got fintechs that are trying to enter the lending space, fintechs in the payment domains. And as a bank, we must make sure that we protect our own base. It's no longer just about owning the banking account. You want that whole encompassing relationship with your client, and you want to make sure that all of the requirements stay centered around the bank. So that's the work we're certainly going to have to do in the year ahead. I'm certainly planning to look at where we're losing ground to those new entrants. And I guess it's going to be a year of clawing that back and making sure that our clients understand we are there and we're happy to play.
I've always felt that, in this conversation that we've had over the last 5 to 7 years around fintechs and the incumbents and the big banks, that yes, while fintechs are nimble and they're not necessarily encumbered by some of the legacy systems when it comes to hardware and software to some extent, what they don't really have is the large customer client base that the big banks do have, and also that interaction, those touch points. I'm on my banking app almost every day. And so there's a huge opportunity to really interact with your client base and to leverage off that. Just explain the thinking that's going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah. So look, we launched towards the end of last year. I guess we soft launched some things like Marketplace some time ago, but we're trying to link business to business, business to consumer within a trusted environment that I guess is domiciled, with FNB. And the objective there is to try and encourage peer-to-peer trade in a safe domain. We can use all of the payment tools that we've built, GeoPay, kind of chat pay and so forth in that space to try and oil the wheels of commerce. And we're also working hard to try and make sure that we amplify trust. Like if you're on that platform and you've been rated, we can start to see more interchange on that basis. The trick for us is how do you make sure that people stay on your platform, because it's easy to connect people and then for them to drop off and engage by themselves. So I think where we can really make a big difference is trusted payment, trusted exchange of goods and so forth. And that's definitely a big play for us. I think the other thing we're trying to do is figure out what would business need to buy from, on a regular basis. So things like vouchering, from places like Microsoft, HP are definitely in our mindset, because we feel that if you're already on the banking app, those are the kind of things that subscriptions you could buy and take from there. And then my colleagues in the eBucks world are dreaming big this year in terms of, we've always had travel in that platform and we've always had things like entertainment, but how do you push the boat out to really make sure that we've got much more engaging elements in their shop that would bring people back to want to use, I guess, when you're visiting the banking app, what ancillary stuff would you love to be able to purchase, at the click of a button?
Speaking of pushing your boat out, I mean, cryptocurrencies, I certainly saw last year as the year that cryptocurrency really became a bit mainstream, and it was on the tip of everyone's tongue in the finance sector. But there's an interesting relationship between established finance and cryptocurrencies, DeFi. It's there to kind of disrupt established finance. So what role do you see cryptocurrency playing within the commercial banking space, both now and potentially in the next few years?
So I think, Michael, when crypto arrived, it was an investment currency. People bought it for speculative purposes. I think if you now stand in the shoes of a commercial client, they're getting paid in crypto. So I guess our response has got to be one of, we're no longer facilitating kind of, this speculative side. People want to take exchange of value in crypto. So we've definitely got to figure out how we partner, engage in that space, because if we can't facilitate our own clients' exchange of that crypto back to Rand, I mean, we're definitely missing out on some of that opportunity. And, if you think about small business, if someone offers to pay you in dollars or crypto, I mean, ostensibly money is money. You're not going to argue about the nature of the flow to your business. So we've got to try and smooth, that exchange. Certainly, if you look at what, the big, card schemes are doing, Visa and MasterCard, they're working hard to move, into that space and offer a means of exchange of value. And I think we've got some homework to do this year to make sure that we facilitate client needs. The rub around regulation, all the rest, that's all cool. But if I have a client that wants that service, I've got to figure out how I'm going to offer it, whether it's through partnership or whether it's through engaging or plumbing the banking platform back into some of those channels. So it's going to be a tricky year of debate. The regulators have got a view, my risk colleagues have got a view, but ultimately my clients have a need. And I think that's where we're going to have to solve for the rub and facilitate.
So obviously, cryptocurrencies are not going anywhere, and it's very interesting to hear the way you're thinking about ensuring on a commercial level that you allow your clients the ability to accept and to have this interoperability with cryptos. I still don't know if I would be changing my Bitcoin or Cardano for anything right now, because it's so volatile. Like, I don't know how people use it as a means of exchange. But when you look at, if you zoom out and you sit and you have your strat sessions and you say, right, these are the big trends, guys. You look up at the horizon. What do you see as the big ones that are going to impact in the commercial banking space this year?
So I think if you take the mega trends, we talk about payments as a service, banking as a service, and I think cloud computing is changing, the rules. If you have a look at the new competitor set that I've got to compete with in the South African context, they've got a level of dexterity because of how they've chosen to derive their services. So those are trends that we've got to be aware of. We need to make sure that we can compete toe to toe. When you look at what we have, we've got loads of product. So our trick is how do we externalize that and make sure we get people to use them. I think the other thing that's not going away, Michael, is there's still going to be this preference for proper service. So we must make sure that, you mentioned the awards we received earlier. I'm challenging my guys to make sure that client experience remains central to how we engage with our clients. And kind of, I made the point earlier, like, we don't get everything right, but we're listening hard and we make sure we fix those things. It's a real key differentiator in my view. And kind of clients that are with us must be talking favorably about their experiences. That's the core job that I think we've got to do. If you look at the other trends, everyone's trying to enter the lending space. So if you look at all of, let's call it the peers, the cell phone companies, if you look at the fintechs, everyone's having a go at fintech lending. We bank those clients. We must make sure that we have dexterity and ease of use and simplicity to solve for small business lending. So that's got to be a massive focus. And I think the last challenge that we face is we're a big anchor bank. We've been around for a long time. So we can't afford to alienate the existing client base, but we really must make sure that we understand that the client base of the future will be a younger generation, different needs, and we must make sure that we're listening and flexing into that space. I've got a nice story for you, if I may. Towards the end of last year, one of my internal colleagues phoned me and said, "Gordon, I've got a client that wants to talk to us about NFTs." Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, sure. That's fantastic. And I guess we are now listening to what they need and how we might help them in terms of navigating elements like exchange control and POPIA and so forth. So I think there's going to be interesting ways that we get to engage and help. And then hopefully we can loop them into our ecosystem, of payments and settlements and anchor them. But there's some fantastic ideas out there. And I guess I'm encouraging the team to make sure that we don't turn a blind eye to anything that's passing us at the moment.
Yeah.
And certainly younger ideas, more energetic entrepreneurs are not people that frighten us anymore. I think we're embracing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was chatting to Jay Shapiro on Business Day the other day. He's in Kenya developing gaming for good solutions, and he saw the massive transformation of Singapore, where he started a few major multinational businesses. And he says, what's happening in Africa, not just East Africa, but across Africa, is so exciting, because you've got this young generation. They're bringing the energy, they're bringing that entrepreneurial spirit, and they're marrying it to all of these new platform solutions, NFTs, cryptos, whatever it is. And he says it's just an absolute melting pot of entrepreneurship at the moment. So it's great to see that a bank I think often banks are kind of viewed as staid and grey shoes and whatever, but is thinking like this, thinking about listening to what their commercial clients need. Gordon, and no surprise that you're scooping up the accolades. If that is the approach, makes intuitive sense. We're going to have to leave it there. Great pleasure chatting to you and sharing your outlook for the year ahead. Let's hope we have less of those hurdles, as I mentioned earlier. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks so much. Cheers, Michael.
That was Gordon Little, Chief Executive at FNB Commercial, talking about how the bank is approaching helping its SME and commercial clients here on Business Talk on Business Tech.